Ladies and gentlemen, all rise. Court is back in session. Welcome to another exciting episode of The Devil's Due. I am your host, Carl Duty. With me, as always, is the man whose band, The Long Cold Dark, will be available as the first DLC characters in Fire Pro Wrestling, Mr. Drew Celestino.
That's about the only capacity that you're ever going to see us wrestling. That or my very rare appearance as a ring announcer, a guest ring announcer, which hasn't happened in quite a while. So, yeah, what's up?
How's it going?
It is going.
It's going.
It's going.
There's the scent of paint in the air.
Oh, is it obvious?
It's just a little bit.
Yeah, it's been quite the adventure over here.
Yes, and to hear that adventure, we go to our opening statement. Sir, how was your week?
So, not bad. The kitchen, as you can tell, is coming along. It's still not quite done, but it's more done than it was. So, yeah, we got a little color up in there. Needs another coat, as it usually does. And some touch-up. And then, it's going to be good. But I also had quite the adventure over the weekend. The Cobra Island Studios version 3 is under construction still. And part of that was let's get the ceiling dealt with in some capacity. So my pie in the sky idea, which is very popular nowadays, I was going to just paint the whole ceiling black.
This is a trend I've not heard of, but go on.
Just Google's your friend here. Basement ceiling black. You'll see it. Very popular. Or white. Any color really, but black or white are the most popular. So I rented the airless sprayer from Home Depot, and consumed about 6 to 7 hours of my day, and about 5 gallons of paint.
I thought those things were supposed to make jobs quicker.
When you are dealing with raw wood and a lot of it,
soaks up a lot.
Yes. So it eats paint a lot, many, many coats. And on top of that, because you have to mask off basically anything you don't want to shoot paint on. So the window had to be masked off, and then all the lights had to be masked off as well. So all I had to work down there was one little working floodlight on the floor. And it was very dark, so I had to kind of move around.
Well, you were painting black, sir.
Yeah. Well, it was dark enough down there, so I move this light around, try to shed some light on the subject. Quite the adventure. Then, there was an incident or two with the machine that Home Depot rented to me, where the attachment where the hose attaches to the compressor came undone, and I wasted probably a good quarter gallon of paint. And made a big goddamn mess all over the drop cloth.
Dude, language.
Hey, it was a frustrating day. So, got all over the wall. But luckily, the walls are unfinished. So, it's okay. But, yeah, it was a good time. I had the respirator on. It was fun. It's fun. It looks really cool. But, yeah. So, that was Sunday. Was it Sunday? Yes, it was Sunday.
Okay.
Most of Sunday. Backing up a moment, we played some games on Friday.
We did. We played a game.
We played Clank.
Yes.
That's a good game.
It's a fun game.
That's a good game.
Clank is really good in that it doesn't do any one thing really, really well, but everything it does is just really good. And it works together. It's very smooth, and it's just a fun game I'll play anytime.
Yeah, see, I don't know that I would even have to throw shade at it. It's a good game.
I'm not throwing shade at it. It's a great game.
Yeah, well, I mean, the quantifier, it doesn't do anything really well. I think it's a very
No, I'm not. It doesn't do anything above and beyond what other games do. It just kind of takes a lot of established mechanics and puts them together really streamlined really well.
Yeah, no, it's a very well designed game. So that was cool. I'm trying to think of what.
And Jen did not win.
No, I won.
Which is a pleasant change of outcomes from, the past month of game nights, probably.
Well, I don't think she was tired enough, number one.
That hasn't mattered the past couple of weeks. She's just been like, okay, whatever, I'll win.
Run the table. Yeah, I don't know. Hard to say. I mean, pregnancy is winding down. Maybe she's weakened. It's hard. It's hard to. It's unclear.
Is the baby the source of her power?
No. In this case, it would be leeching her power.
Hmm.
Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to say.
That means we can never play board games with the baby.
Well, it's going to be a while anyway.
Win.
You got a while to wait until he's going to understand the mechanics of a board game anyway. But I won by the slimmest of margins, which was a pleasant surprise. I'm trying to remember what my Saturday was comprised of, because I know I did stuff. I just don't remember what.
I believe there was a wrestling event this weekend.
There were two. And I watched them out of order, though. So Saturday was NXT TakeOver, but I did not watch it. So can't report on it before Sunday. Sunday was SummerSlam, which is one of the big four WWE shows. That I did watch. It was a show.
It flew. It was pilot.
For a big four event, if you consider, I mean, it's one of their big four events, okay?
Okay.
And if I had paid money to go to that big four event, I would have left very, very disappointed.
Mm.
Some decent action, but most of the matches had screw job finishes or non-finishes or finishes that were just setting up the next event.
Gotcha.
At a big event, you need closure. You need to be closing the door on certain things and opening new ones, not dragging other stuff out and then delivering matches between guys we like that are a good 22-minute match that is marred by a disqualification or a screw job finish.
Mm.
I don't got time for that stuff anymore. I've seen good wrestling. I don't need your malarkey to drag me along anymore. No, I'm sorry, no, but just get out of here with that nonsense. So, it was a show. If it wasn't their worst show, it was arguably okay. Good episode of Raw, bad Big Four pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying?
It was cromulent.
Sure. It was as capable as they get on the main roster. So yesterday being Monday, you'd think, did you watch Raw? Not really. Instead, we caught up on Saturday's event, which was NXT TakeOver. NXT is WWE's best product by a country mile.
Yeah.
Not even close anyway. It's not even close anymore. So that event, had I watched that before SummerSlam, I would have hated SummerSlam even more. NXT TakeOver was excellent. Every single match was excellent. Stellar show. Top to bottom. Everybody put on the performance of a lifetime at that show. Every match was great. Every match had a finish. Fantastic show. I can't believe it's run by the same company. It doesn't make sense. So yeah, NXT TakeOver was super dope.
Nice.
And that more or less sums up the week. I did have an interview with Dan and Nick from Exum Priori. They're another local Buffalo band, and they have a little YouTube show they do called the Dan and Nick Show. And I appeared on that on Thursday. That actually just went up today on the interwebs, on the YouTubes. So nice little 45-minute chat about the Long Cold Dark and music and guitars and fun stuff. So just me shooting my mouth off, which I enjoy doing from time to time.
Cool. So
yeah, that's it. You can look for that.
Does their channel have a name, or
it's Exum Priori? So EXHAMPRIORY Priori. Yeah, something like that.
Any Twitter or Facebook pages?
You're asking a lot of me right now, so they can Google it. They'll find it. Or look on the Long Cold Dark's Facebook page. And
I'm just saying, they were kind enough to have you on their show. We can give them some
I'm off the cuff here, man. I don't got their Twitter handle at the ready right now.
Did you plug our show while you were on there?
No.
Dang it, Drew!
It was pretty much centered on the band and the decade that we've had together and whatnot. So I was kind of just in music mode, and it's been a very music kind of week for me, just mentally focused in on stuff, not necessarily my own, just music in general.
Okay.
So that's more or less my week as I've monopolized the early portion here,
as you're like to do.
But
that's okay. It's part of the charm of the show.
I think so. I don't know that anyone else would agree. How was your week?
My week was all right. Work continues. New job. Learning and the doing. Let's see. Friday we had game night. Had pad thai again.
Yes,
which was enjoyable.
Yes,
shrimp this time.
Yes.
Saturday, the wife was generous enough and kind enough. I shouldn't say generous enough because that makes it sound weird, but she was kind enough to let me rent a car. We are a one-car family. She was kind enough to let me rent a car to go to Millennium Games in Rochester to compete in their X-Wing Store Championship tournament.
So,
third place.
Okay.
Not a big turnout, though, mind you. Two precursors to my third place finish. One, there wasn't a lot of people there. There was only like 9 people there. Right now, I think most players are just kind of done with the current version of the game and waiting for 2.0, which comes out in a couple weeks.
Building the extra wings on their houses and
whatnot.
Yeah.
Stuff and such. Second being is like, it might have been the ugliest, worst performance I've ever given in an X-Wing tournament that bore fruit. I bumbled my way to a third place finish. It was bad.
Well, I mean, you still took third.
I took third by for me to explain how I took third I would have to go into a lot of X-Wing jargon, which not many people probably care about, but it was yeah. But that was my first time to Millennium Games in Rochester. And Drew, that store.
Yeah.
If you like board games and apparently disc golf, frisbee golf or whatever it's called.
Believe it or not, I have a section of friends that are right in that diagram. That Venn diagram overlaps right there.
That is the place to go. Now, don't get me wrong. We've got a bunch of local game stores, and they're all great, and I'm not trying to throw any shade to them, but Drew, Millennium Games, as far as sheer selection and presentation, just dwarfs anything we have here in Buffalo.
Wow.
It's a really, really nice place that the next time you're in the Rochester area, I would definitely recommend checking out.
I feel like Rochester has a few legs up on Buffalo.
I wouldn't go that far, but there are some nice things to see in Rochester that usually we make a point of going to at least once a year. Things like, the Powers Farm Market in the fall. Strong Museum of Play is always a good time. And now Millennium Games. But I think as a whole, Buffalo's still a little bit better. So that was Saturday. Sunday was just kind of a chill day. I know I'm forgetting something from my week, and I don't even think I wrote it down in the notes. The car I got to rent. So I said, after she gave the initial permission to rent a car, I said, do you mind if I maybe spend a little extra scratch and get something a little nicer? Because truth be told, I'm kind of a car guy. I'm not like extreme car guy, but right now our one family car is a 4-cylinder Ford Fusion, and I hate it.
Well, it's a Ford.
I hate it so. No, Ford Mustang is my all-time favorite car.
That's one car. They have a line, and it's not good.
But she was okay with that, and I asked her because she travels a lot for work and she rents cars a lot. So I asked her to kind of do the thing and whatnot to get the points, and I asked her if you could ask them if they have either a Dodge Challenger, a Chevy Camaro, or a Ford Mustang. Unfortunately, they didn't have any of those.
Oh, okay.
So what I ended up getting was a Nissan Maxima. Okay. Which was sweet.
Yeah, make a good car.
It was like strapping in. It was ironically, as I was going to an X-Wing tournament, it was like strapping in the cockpit of an X-Wing fighter. The center.
Did it have an R2 unit?
It might have. I didn't get to play with all the accessories.
Okay.
The center console was raised, so how your basic center console is kind of full shoulder length down, arm's length, rest your arm on it.
Sure.
Like you just lay your arm naturally and it goes the extent of your shoulder. This one was kind of raised up a little bit more, and it had like a control for the touch screen on it. That was kind of like a joystick and a turn knob, and all the modern delicacies of technology that are to be had in the car were had in this. All I had to do was just plug my phone into charge, and everything from my phone went into the touch screen, like all the apps and whatnot. It was really sweet and accelerated so nicely.
V6?
V6.
Yeah. Makes a difference.
My current car goes 0 to 60 in Tuesday.
Wow.
I'm not talking about this Tuesday. I'm talking next Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
This car was nice.
Nice.
It was nice. Unfortunately, at the end of the trip, I discovered that it had a sport mode. I didn't discover this at the beginning of the trip.
What does the sport mode do for you?
Makes it go even better. It kind of kicks
Faster.
up the. I believe it just kind of makes it less fuel efficient to give it more performance, which it does.
Does it do like a manual or anything, or can you not do a manual?
You can do the. It's not true manual, but it's kind of like it's like a fake manual.
Yeah, the up, down, down kind of.
Yeah,
no pun intended.
You can do that on it.
Okay.
But I've never been about that. I would either give me manual or give me automatic. None of this like hybrid crap.
Gotcha.
God, I miss a manual car. I love driving stick. It's fun. So yeah, I think that was it.
Well, all right.
Dear listeners, if you would like to tell us about your weeks, if you would like to send us any questions or comments to the show, you can do so at the following locations. You can follow us on Twitter at Devils Do Pod. You can go to Facebook.com/DevilsDoPod and throw our page a like. You can email us at TheDevilsDoPod@gmail.com, and you can find all these resources available to you on our website, TheDevilsDoPodcast.com. And Drew, as I'm checking the old email here, we only have one submission, and it is from loyal friend, although not always loyal game night participant, Mr. Alan Waiters. Because he had to watch preseason football.
Preseason
football. Drew, you know what I'd rather watch instead of preseason football?
Anything.
The WWE.
Be careful what you wish for there. Honestly.
So yeah, he writes, Carl and Drew. This is actually a really interesting question.
All right.
Not to say that he doesn't normally write interesting questions, but
He
this
usually-
one,
no, he gets us thinking.
this one's above his normal level of quality. Who would win a chess match? A man who can see the future or a man who can read minds? Think of it as Kang the Conqueror challenging Professor X to a game of chess.
So hang on.
A man who can see the future
Or a man who can read minds.
or a man who can read minds.
I'm pondering this. I would think. Well, hang on. Let's walk through this a little bit. If I can read your mind in real time, I will know what your next move is.
Yes.
And beyond, theoretically. But if I can read the future, I already know the events that are going to unfold. I would say, in this situation, I would rather be able to see the future. Here's why. If I can see the future, I guess that we are implying that we are on a linear timeline and not like a multiversal timeline where anything can happen the theory that for any event or any possible outcome that there is a universe that exists where that is a thing. So if we have the ability to see the future, I'm going to assume that we have a linear timeline. We know exactly what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and I can plan and act accordingly. Whereas, if I can read your mind, I think even if I can read your mind, people can be impulsive and maybe not necessarily act the way they are thinking in a given moment, in an instant. And that could throw things off a bit and interrupt your strategy.
Interesting.
That's what I'm going with.
No, I think that's a good, solid response. I think ultimately it ends in a draw.
Very well could.
I think it's just kind of the old unstoppable force meeting the immovable object.
So like if the Juggernaut runs into the Blob.
I think the Juggernaut wins that one.
Blob is unmovable. Juggernaut's unstoppable.
That has to have happened at some point in comics.
If it hasn't...
The X-Men have run out of ideas so long ago that has to have happened. Alan, find out if that happened first, because you're a big
would
X-Men
know.
fan.
Alan would know.
All right, so that was a question for both of us. Question for me. Carl, every time you enter a room, your theme music starts to play. What theme music would announce your arrival? Also, how pumped are you for Windjammers on the Switch? And of course, there is a PS, I told you so. So, addressing the PS first. A couple months back, Alan got me all excited by saying Windjammers was coming out on Switch in an SNK collection.
Yes.
Normally, believing Alan like I do, I got really excited until I looked up the article they linked on it, in which case Windjammers was not coming out on that collection, because Windjammers was not an SNK game. Windjammers was a Data East game.
It's a blurry line, but yes, okay.
Yes. So, and when they announced Windjammers on Switch, which actually ties into a little bit of a news we have, Alan was like, I told you so, I told you so. I was like, no, you said it was coming out on this collection, and it wasn't.
It is a distinction.
Yeah,
But 2 is coming out.
Well, like I said, news. Wait for the news. Don't spoil it. All right, theme music entering the room. That's really good. That's really good. I'm going back and forth between two things. The egotistical side of me wants Stan Bush's The Touch from Transformers the movie.
Okay.
But I try not to have much of an ego. So I'm going to steal a page from the book of Homer Simpson, which is the old song, Why Can't We Be Friends? Remember when the boxing episode, Homer was a boxer?
Yes.
That was the song he came out to.
Yes. Okay, I remember now. And then he gets saved by Bo and the fan and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, they call that the Stinger. You can't use that anymore. He's the ninth man. I don't have anything against them personally, but I am going to make orphans of his children. Champ, he does have a wife. Yes, but I would expect her to die from grief.
Sidebar. Frederick Tatum is an interesting example.
Hey, guys, knock it off.
It's an interesting example of a character that if he were to be introduced in The Simpsons, let's say now, it would just be Mike Tyson. They would get the celebrity voice and whatnot.
Yeah.
But that was back when they were still doing kind of a social satire.
Yeah.
And
back in the day
Tatum,
when
Rainier Wolfcastle, back when the show was good, I guess is what I'm saying.
Back when Dustin Hoffman and Michael Jackson didn't want their name on the credits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. So yeah, I'm sure given time I could probably think of a better theme music to enter the room too, but that would probably be the two. Drew, what's the video game that made you fall in love with video games?
Ooh.
What were your fond memories of it? And now about that Ricochet Adam Cole match.
Well, it was good. It was good.
P.S. Drew, tell Carl I was right about Windjammers, which we've already gone over.
That's between you guys.
There's a distinction.
I'm staying out of that. Video game that made me love video games. Wow. That's
Zelda?
difficult. No, it wasn't Zelda. I'd have to really think back. Very difficult to say because I'm trying to think of what happened first. Did I play an arcade game first or did I get an NES first? And that's the line that's blurry to me.
Yeah.
And
I played
also know-
Atari before I played an arcade.
I had an
machine.
Atari as well, and that's another like wrinkle in all this. Like,
Yeah.
boy, my earliest memories of video games are actually of the Atari, playing like Haunted House, the terrible Pac-Man port, the terrible Donkey Kong port.
I was always a big
what-
fan of Berserk.
I don't remember Berserk.
I always thought of it like I always played it like it was Star Wars. Basically, you're just a guy going around like a maze, just shooting robots, and if you touch the walls, you got killed.
Was there a tank? There was a tank game for Atari. Was
Yes,
there not?
combat.
I
It was
think-
the packing game.
I think I
Had
had
a whole
that.
bunch of different. Everybody had combat.
Okay.
I had a whole bunch of different like game modes, like ricochet bullets, and there were planes in it too.
Okay, I kind of remember. I definitely remember Choplifter.
Yeah,
I liked Choplifter. Arcade games I remember vividly. I remember the Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom arcade game. I remember the Star Wars Return of the Jedi stand-up arcade game.
Yep.
Remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
The Vector arcade game. The Vector graphics Star Wars game.
yeah. That was the original Star Wars
Yes,
game, not
yes.
Return of the Jedi.
But I remember both. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They were. I remember. I have vivid memories of both of those games. And the Turtles arcade game, obviously, but I think I had an NES by then. And an NES, obviously, the game that was like, I have to have this machine. It's the coolest thing ever. Super Mario Brothers. I mean, I know
Yeah.
it's cliche. It was the pack-in game, but what a game!
I mean, yeah, it wasn't the packing game originally. Well, maybe by the time you got around to getting an NES, it was the packing game. Because it was a little while before it was a packing game.
Well, it was a little while before they made it a combo cart with Duck Hunt. I'm just trying to remember if it was a pack-in game originally or not. I don't remember.
It wasn't a packing game at launch.
Hmm.
The only packing game at launch was with the deluxe set, and that's where you got Duck Hunt and Gyromite.
Ah,
And
interesting.
the other sets that you could get, like the action set or the set that was just like console one controller, didn't have any packing games.
I see. Well, yeah, that was kind of like my earliest toe dipping into the waters of video games, and I was pretty much in at that point. When did it become like a fixture for me, like as a lifestyle? I wouldn't say a lifestyle. When did I know that I was going to be like when did I fall in love with it all? I don't know, maybe Zelda 2 was great, but I mean, it was very cryptic and difficult. I think the dawn of the Super Nintendo is when it really set in that this was something that I really, really, really loved. The NES, I had quite a good, nice little selection of games, but your friends all have games and you all play, and it's just like something that you all kind of do. The SNES is kind of when I started to really take hold of my video game choices and preferences, and kind of form my own opinions about them, and off we are to the races.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you remember where the first arcade game you played was?
Yes. I'm pretty sure it was at the arcade at the Thruway Mall,
Oh, okay.
which was attached to the air quote food court, which I only remember being the Chinese restaurant that was next door to the arcade.
Yeah.
And there was a Baskin Robbins next to that. So my dad would take me, and we'd play video games. We'd get Chinese food. If I was really good, we'd get ice cream. And then we'd go to Child World, which was detached from the Thruway Mall, but it was right outside the door from the arcade.
Yep.
Go to Child World, scope stuff out. They had a really cool Nintendo area, actually. And that's what I remember.
I believe the first place I played an actual arcade game was 7-Eleven.
See, I didn't even go into a 7-Eleven until I was in my teens.
Yeah, see, 7-Eleven used to have arcade games. Pizza Hut used to have arcade games.
See, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah. Well, I'm older than you are.
You are, elder man.
So, yeah. All right.
Thank you, Alan.
Cool beans. Thanks, Alan. It is appreciated, as always. All right, that closes our cross-examination and brings us to the case files
Wow, Jay's slacking.
for the week. Yeah, nothing from Jay this week.
Huh.
I mean, it's just he's been fairly regular. This is the first week in a while he's missed. I wouldn't necessarily go as far as say slacking.
I'm a little let down, but okay.
A little disappointed. All right, so in no particular order, Drew, the Watchmen series has officially gotten a full season order at HBO. Apparently, the execs are very happy with what they've seen, and given that this is a comic book property and the cast that they've assembled for this series can't be cheap. So, what do you think?
Like I said, I think that their approach is probably the right one. Don't do it verbatim. We've kind of gone there. We don't need to go there. That's not interesting. Let's make it interesting. It sounds to me like they're making a sequel in TV form.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see how that plays out. Now, I'm interested, okay? But I look at the cast list, and I couldn't tell you who's going to play who necessarily, because if it takes place after the original story, then all bets are off as to who is who, and there's all new characters for all I know. But there is one casting that sticks out like a sore thumb.
What's that?
Jeremy Irons. Now, if I'm a betting man,
Ozymandias?
he has got to be playing an elder Ozymandias.
I'd be totally okay with that.
As would I. So that tells me, okay, that's probably what it is. So the story is probably like Rorschach's journal gets out after X amount of time. The world goes back into full tilt paranoia mode and is on the brink of destruction once again. And a ragtag group of people gather together to find Ozymandias, who is Jeremy Irons.
I mean, when you say it that way, it sounds like very basic and not enticing, but
that's
all
probably
in
I'm telling you
it's
now,
all in the execution.
It is, but I'm just going to tell you that's probably what it is. I don't want to say like 90% certain, but like that's my gut. Like that's what they're going to do.
Do you think they try to find Ozymandias, or do you think they try to bring Dr. Manhattan back?
Why not both? I mean, who knows?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what their plan is necessarily.
I'm hoping it'll be a better sequel series than Doomsday Clock, which I just lost interest in and stopped reading.
Doomsday Clock is... You know what the problem with Doomsday Clock is?
Delays.
That. But I'm reading... I'm current on it.
Okay.
And it's fine. Like, it's... You know, it's well drawn for sure.
Well,
Gary Frank. My problem with it... The best part of it was the immediate aftermath sequel parts of Watchmen.
Yeah.
Once they go to like the DC universe, it just starts to feel silly.
Eventy,
silly. See, here's what's weird, and probably I'm sure this is intentional to a degree. I don't know. The Watchmen, the real world, air quotes, the world that Watchmen takes place in, the fictional real world. That's deep. Anyway, it was a dark and grim, kind of messed up place with characters that were kind of messed up.
Mm-hmm.
In Doomsday Clock, when they get to the DC universe is more messed up. It's as messed up or more than the Watchmen universe. That strikes me as weird. Or at least is a big red flag saying, like, this is what 30 years of learning the wrong lessons of Watchmen has done to the DC universe. Now, Jeff Johns, I'm not a big fan, you know, but I think he's smart enough to know this, and this is all intentional. And maybe there is going to be some kind of pacification or rectification to all this at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely probably going to revisit. Probably. That doesn't work.
Definitely, maybe.
Definitely. I'm possibly going to revisit the story when it comes out in trade.
Okay.
But as far as like a month-to-month purchase, I mean, I probably would have kept up to it had it actually been month-to-month and not like, once every 4 to 5 months.
Well, the original was delayed too.
Yeah.
The original Watchmen. The other thing about it is like they're trying to sell you on this Superman theory narrative part of it that like all the superheroes in or people with powers in the DCU are like part of some big vast conspiracy to give people powers to possibly fight Superman someday. That's like the hook of the Superman theory in the book.
Okay.
And it's this narrative. It's what they're trying to build, and they keep alluding to it and talking about it as if I care. There's like no stakes in any of this.
Yeah.
I don't care about any of the characters involved. It's all these B-C list characters that are involved and wrapped up in it. None of the real A-list people have shown up yet in Doomsday Clock, except Batman, but he's not really doing much.
Yeah.
So, like, it's like, yeah, I see what you're trying to do. I just don't care about any of this. Get back to the fun characters. Get back to what's Ozymandias doing. Like, what's I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird comic. It's strange.
Weird can be good, so
it can be.
Just not in this case.
I'm not as off of it as you are. You seem to be pretty like whatever. I'm still reading it to see how it concludes, but I'm still waiting for it to kind of like make a point.
The delay just kind of killed it for me because the last issue come out was issue 5, I think 5 or 6.
I don't remember.
And I picked it up when I was at the shop and I was thumbing through it. I'm like, I have no recollection of what happened previously. So
yeah.
Trade it is.
I understand.
All right, so definitely. Would you say you're a day one tune-in for the series?
For Watchmen?
Yeah.
I have HBO, so yeah, sure.
Cool.
I don't watch HBO, but I have it, so I might as well. I got to make use of it at some point.
All right, so bit of bad news this week for a long-standing comics label that has never surpassed the big two in sales, but you could say they surpassed them in a lot of other ways. Fox announced earlier this week that it is pulling the Buffy the Vampire Slayer license from Dark Horse.
I didn't know that they had the license.
They not only did they have the license, they were doing quite well with it, from what I understand. I remember that series started up shortly before I started working at a local comic shop, and when I did start working there, it sold very well always. And I've got a lot of friends who were fans of the television series who read the comic series and they loved it. Josh Whedon was very involved with a lot of it. I know he wrote a good chunk of it. But this kind of leaves Dark, because Buffy kind of emerged as the thing that, I don't want to say bailed Dark Horse out after they lost the Star Wars license, but kind of kept them afloat. Now with Buffy gone, they've got Hellboy, Predator, Terminator, and I think RoboCop.
I think RoboCop is a Boom, actually. So, not RoboCop.
Yeah. So, I don't really know. I mean, Hellboy's great. People love Hellboy, but you're not going to carry a label on one title alone.
No.
And there's never been like an ongoing Predator or RoboCop series, just like a whole bunch of miniseries and whatnot.
I mean, Boom Studios and IDW will certainly fly in the face of this, but I don't think that relying on third-party licenses is a very good way to do business.
Yeah, it's not. And again, like you said, Boom Studios, IDW, and also Dynamite Studios.
Yeah, right.
It's not great, but at the same time, like, Dynamite was smart in that they took things that were predominantly public
domain.
Yeah, public domain. Thank you. IDW was smart in that it got like all of the Hasbro stuff. It didn't just like piecemeal it. It took everything.
Mm-hmm.
Boom Studios, they're kind of younger readers, so they get like a lot of the Cartoon Network stuff and whatnot. So they've got their audience kind of built in for them with that stuff. Dark Horse just hasn't seemed to evolve over the past maybe 2 decades.
That's about right. They were originally one of the premier, like, independent, air quotes, comic labels.
Yeah.
Like Marvel, DC were the big two superheroes and all that, and then there was like, you your Calibers and your kitchen sinks and whatnot. And then there was
Valiants.
Dark Horse, and Dark Horse was kind of like the big one before pre-Image. They had Star Wars, they had RoboCop and Terminator and the crossover and Predator and then Hellboy became obviously a huge success for them.
Yeah.
So the fact that that's all kind of going away is kind of sad. But they never really where Image doubled down and really put all their faith. Well, I mean they were a creator-owned label, but I mean they got really choosy about what they were going to put out, and they put out really great stuff, and just became a mecca for creators for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Dark Horse could have done that too. I would think at some point there had to have been maybe they wanted to and just couldn't get the talent to get on board. I don't know, but they were pioneers, and then they kind of just never kept up, I guess.
Yeah. It seemed like they were just kind of living off of the fat of Star Wars and.
Well, yeah, they should have been thinking about that strategy when Disney swooped in with the monies.
Yep. So yeah. So hopefully, I hope, because one less comics label in the world is not necessarily what I want, but I don't see them lasting very much longer.
Unless they have some kind of crazy strategy to, attract creators and make them, again, get them going into a creator-owned line of comics that publishes really great stuff.
Yeah.
But, with so many, seemingly anyway, so many places where you can do that besides, even, Image is obviously the biggest and brightest, but there's others as well that'll publish your work. What does Dark Horse offer that these others don't? I think that's kind of on them to figure out if they're going to survive.
Yeah. I mean, they got the Predator. So
it's for now.
For now, yeah.
Is the Predator? Hang on. Is he owned by? Is the Predator a Fox property?
He is now.
Well, I mean, he's a Disney property now.
Yep.
I don't think those Predator comics are going to be long for this world, Carl.
Nope.
Not at Dark Horse, anyway.
All right. So as we alluded to earlier in the cross-examination section, it was announced this week. Big shocking announcement. Nobody saw this coming, but to the delight of many, Windjammers 2
the delight of many,
announced.
Specifically you.
No, dude, this game has got a huge cult following.
There are dozens of us.
There are
dozens
more than
of
dozens. I don't want to say niche within a niche, but that's unfortunately the best way to describe it, because fighting game tournaments like Windjammers is always there.
Mm-hmm.
It's always like that fun side game. So
question.
We've got 20 plus years in between entries here.
I was just going to ask. So this is a legit sequel?
Yes. It is being done by .emu, which causes some eyebrows to raise.
Oh, how come?
They're the ones who did the conversion, the most recent edition that came out.
Okay.
They're
like that conversion?
The online worked for a while until it didn't.
I see.
And I guess a lot of times in the past they've screwed up some other retro conversions, and they don't instill confidence in a lot of circles. But yeah, no gameplay footage or anything was released. Just a quick anime teaser. But Drew, another interesting thing, it is coming out for Steam and the Switch, and that's it.
Okay.
And we get the original Windjammers on the Switch coming out this October.
I have a feeling it's going to be very popular.
Yes.
Call it a hunch, but it's going to be a very popular Switch title. I've said, you keep asking me, and I keep seeing the sentiment everywhere out there. Everyone wants to know when Switch versions of stuff is going to be a thing. Every article I read about games, Switch, there's always at least one of the top comments is always Switch version ?
Yeah.
With every release, every announcement.
That's good. I'm glad to see it. Glad to see the Switch get some indie love, and I mean,
so here's
Windjammers on the go. Okay.
Yeah. Here's my mandatory Switch version question mark. I just saw today that Guacamelee 2 is now out for PS4 and Steam. I loved Guacamelee when I got it for the Wii U. Excellent game. Metroidvania and Luchadors. Okay, let's go. So now Guacamelee 2 is out, and I saw the review of it, and I was like, oh, sweet. And I checked the platform listing. It was like PS4 and Steam. And I was like, oh, Switch version?
I'm sure will be eventually.
I can wait.
So yeah, I'm cautiously excited.
I think the studio's giving you pause, and that's why you're a little.
It's not so much the studio. It's just like the original Windjammers was like the pure definition of lightning in a bottle, and how it just like garnered its cult following, and attempts to recapture something like that, successful attempts, are few and far between. Ironically enough, the last one I could think that recaptured the original kind of hype and momentum of the game was when Street Fighter 4 came out, and that not only recaptured the hype of the like original golden age of fighting games, but it gave birth to a whole new generation of fighting game players that, you know, the likes of which have not been seen before. So I'll be interested to see how this works.
Well, have faith. And, yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yeah. So, yeah, last news story of the week. Drew, we got another trailer for Iron Fist Season 2.
We did.
And there's a lot of fighting in it.
Okay.
And the fighting looks good.
So, like, you know how everything in the first season, like, stunk?
Yeah.
I don't see that in this trailer.
I don't either.
It looks pretty good.
I'm not getting excited because I've been burned.
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yes.
I've got Misty Knight and Colleen are there.
Yeah.
Danny doesn't seem to be like such an unlikable jerk anymore.
Davos throwing around his own Iron Fist, and it's red, which instantly made me go, show enough.
Yeah, which is a deviation because it should be purple, but you know, we'll allow it.
Could be. You know, maybe they're not done with the post yet.
We'll see how they shake it out, but we got Iron Fist masks happening. We've got stuff going on. It looks pretty good. And a lot more fighting from what I can tell. Unless they put all the fighting in the trailer and the rest of the show is just boardroom scenes again.
I think the way they're kind of presenting the masks right now, I think they pull a Daredevil season 1 at the end of this season we get him in the suit.
Okay. Well, I mean, hey, I'm okay with that. They teased it in the first season, and I would like to see them explore it more in the second if they can introduce the idea that the Iron Fist is a legacy hero. So before him was Orson Rand.
Yep.
I'm sorry, not Orson Rand. What was his? Oh, Orson Randall. My Iron. Oh wow.
Yeah,
it's been a while since I read my Iron Fist. But anyway, prior to that Matt Fraction Ed Brubaker series, that wasn't the case, and they introduced the idea that there was an Iron Fist before Danny, and he was,
the Iron Fist is a mantle.
Yeah, right. And it was really cool. So there was that bit in the trailer where they showed the mask on like a mummified human. Did you catch that?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Orson. Maybe we get some flashbacks. Maybe I don't know. But
maybe we get some Fat Cobra.
Don't get me excited, dude. You're just gonna build up my hopes. They're not gonna do Fat Cobra. It'd be so cool if they did, though. Yeah, it looks really cool, and I wonder if Luke Cage will return the favor and show up on Danny's show.
I hope so. Does it seem that they're kind of moving Misty into the Claire role
a little bit,
in that she's kind of the connecting strand?
Well,
in between all the series,
I don't know if they're going to go this route in the show, but in the comics anyway, Misty and Danny are, they've had a little romantic history. So,
yes,
maybe we get there. We'll see. And not to mention, she tags up with Colleen in the comics as well. They're the Daughters of the Dragon. Maybe we get maybe. There's a lot that could happen here out of all this.
Did you finish Luke Cage season 2 yet?
No, I only have a couple episodes to go, and I've been so
swamped. House and whatnot.
Well, it's the house, and then on top of that, Better Call Saul started back up, and Preacher started back up. So like,
come on, man, it's Luke Cage.
I feel you. Time is short. I'm gonna watch tonight. I'm gonna watch Better Call Saul at the very least, and then maybe I'll get to an episode of something else. We'll see. I'm working on it. I'm close.
Disappointed.
It's not like we're doing it on the show yet.
No, I know. So, but yeah, Iron Fist season 2 looking promising and coming out in a couple of weeks.
I hope they took the criticism of the first season to heart and are like, okay, you know what we did the first season? We're not doing any of that.
I mean, everything we've seen Danny in since the first season, he's been considerably better in each time.
Yes.
He was a lot better in Defenders, and he was even more better in Luke Cage season 2.
Yes. But granted, he's had Luke Cage to bounce off of, which is really fun.
Yeah, that's the key. All right, that about does it for the news, unless you can think of something.
Nothing specifically is coming to mind. So, yeah.
All right, cool. Well, then it's time to rustle some papers. You're not rustling papers. I'm rustling papers.
Again,
you are
mind.
Miming
in my mind
a rustling of paper.
Yeah, it's an audio medium. It doesn't really help, does it?
Yeah. So I'm the only one who took notes again, huh?
My notes are all in my mind, son.
All right, so Jessica Jones, episode 6, FaceTime. Drew, what'd you think of this episode?
Oh, we got developments.
Yes,
abound in this in this episode. So in a way, in this episode, we see Jess continue to kind of evolve into a better person, I think.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And conversely, we see her friend Patsy.
Trish.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Turning into a much worse person.
Yeah. It's really like a lot of Jessica Jones season 1 and season 2 is a story about addiction.
Yeah.
And that story's told through, it's not just a single character story. Like,
no, it's
in the
basically
first
everybody.
season, it's kind of predominantly Malcolm's story.
Yep.
This season, we definitely see it shifting more to Trish because we've established that, like, Child Star had the problems with the substance abuse, and she's hence come over that. But as we've discussed in previous episodes, there's this gap Trish feels in her life where she is not on equal footing with a lot of the other people in her life.
Right. So we see her here now huffed up again on the huff stuff.
Literally huffed up.
Yes. And she's out there on the streets stalking, air quotes, bad guys.
Yeah.
She's just looking for pick fights.
Yeah, she's kicking people off buses.
Yeah. And looking all, just trying to get into adventures and whatnot. Like,
yeah.
Is this what she thinks Jess does and what she has to do to, like, be as good as her? Like, it's an interesting angle to take, I guess, on her. But it is disappointing because, she's really fallen off and she's hiding it from Jess and everyone else. Like, when the scene later on where she's all messed up and she says, like, oh, I have food poisoning or whatever, like, she's hiding it from her friends, and she is now, like, dependent on that inhaler thingamabob.
Yeah,
and it's kind of a bummer.
It's full blown addiction. So yeah, her journey this season is really interesting. And then we see in this episode a little bit more into the character of Malcolm.
Yeah.
Going back to his school to find out some information, but there's some ghosts there that need to be pickpocketed.
Yeah, I see. He goes there and he kind of makes up with his ex-girl. I'm assuming like his ex-girlfriend, maybe. Or
they
weren't
clear, but
in any case, I don't doubt his sincerity in apologizing to her for his addictions and all that. And she was less than receptive to it. But, it is what it is. I'm sure it's very difficult to deal with that situation in someone's life. So I don't doubt his sincerity, but he had sort of an ulterior motive for the meeting, which Malcolm is doing well now, doing better anyway, but he does kind of have to resort to some thievery.
Yeah, he understands like what he's growing as a private investigator, and he understands what needs to be done. Like, clearly this exchange with this person, there's going to be no long-term ramifications of him doing what he needs to do.
Steals her badge or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but in other respects in his life, though, he really is turning it around.
Yeah.
I guess. And he's, the one. Okay, so let's get into that a little bit then. The one thing I'm a little kind of like, I don't know if I want to go here, but they're going there. Is the fledgling now relationship with him and Trish.
Yeah,
it feels a little forced, and then it escalates quickly.
It doesn't so much feel forced. It does escalate quickly, but like again, that's like substance induced.
It absolutely is.
Yeah,
on Trish's part. But even when he she shows up at her and Jessica are at the office, and then he comes in, and he's like, "Oh, hey, Trish," and he, like immediately you get like this, we're doing this. Like, where was this before? Was this flirtation there before in previous episodes? Because if it was, I missed it.
They didn't have a ton of interaction.
Okay,
so it was kind of like it's not like the Rose Finn thing at the end of Last Jedi where it just didn't feel earned.
Okay.
Like this one, it's not that it doesn't necessarily feel earned. It doesn't not make sense either at the same time, because we see kind of like what Malcolm has replaced one addiction with, and kind of like a pseudo another addiction.
Yeah, you're not wrong. He's thrown himself headlong into work now, and
not only so much work, but also that Tinder.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So, well,
yeah. We get some paint sex in this episode.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just say it. No.
Yeah, no.
That's not how that works. No one wants to do that.
That's gonna get into spaces you don't want it to be in.
That's hard to wash off.
Yeah, or flush out, depending on where it gets into.
No,
Yeah,
and plus, that's a little presumptuous of dude to do, because like, how did he know that like Jess didn't just buy those clothes and like, hey man, I just got these. What's now I'm rolling around in purple paint.
Does Jess strike you as someone who is often walking around in brand new clothes?
No, but I'm just saying is all. Also, purple paint, is that are we led to believe that's foreshadowing? It seemed very intentional. That's very intentional.
It's funny. I didn't think of that.
I did.
What I did think was when they threw the yellow into it, I was like, oh, he's a Lakers fan.
Oh, yeah. I didn't get
for
there.
For some reason, my mind didn't go where your mind went.
No, I saw purple and I thought, oh, so Kilgrave, huh? Now, granted, he's dead, but
yeah. It's a comic show.
You don't do that without intent, in my opinion. In this
well,
situation.
Also, purple is still kind of the color hue of the show.
It is, but why is it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get you.
Also, we related. We get lots of David Mack art in these scenes, just so you know.
Yeah.
The landlord, what's his name again?
Oscar.
He's an artist, and he's a ID forger, but whatever.
Yeah.
All the artwork you see in this episode it had to have been done by David Mack.
Yeah.
For the show,
which is a cool nod to the
absolutely
comics.
As we found out in Daredevil season 1, at the end of season 1, that Alex Maleev the artwork that they did for the newspaper. I mistakenly thought that it was one of the covers that he did for the original, one of his original covers from Daredevil, and I believe
we tweeted
about it, and he corrected us and said, "No, I drew that for the show."
Yeah, it was based on the cover, but he drew it for a show.
Yeah,
that tweet every once in a while, like, still pops up as someone liking it.
Oh,
And I'm like, of course, this tweet where we're proven wrong is
Hey,
the
man.
one that makes the rounds.
At least we noticed that it was influence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Did anyone else point it out to him? No.
No,
We did.
I don't listen to your
'Cause we
Daredevil
know.
podcast. We also have more info coming to light with Inez and Hogarth.
A little bit, yeah. So this whole angle is still a little weird to me. It has purpose, clearly, because I guess, she used to be a nurse, and she was involved with IGH, and now she finds out through thievery and trickery that Hogarth has ALS. So now they have a little bonding experience, even though clearly tension beforehand.
Yes.
But this side of this episode was less interesting to me. So it's kind of whatever. I don't know why Inez is like such a. What is Hogarth's problem with her exactly? Like, she's on the phone with Jess saying like she has to get out of here within a day. She's a slob and like yada yada. It's like, dude, I mean, you took her in. I don't know. There's some weird motivations happening in all this.
Yeah, I mean, we established last episode that Hogarth wants to find out about IGN and
IGN?
or
You're turning into Alan.
yeah, IGH to kind of find out what they know as far as healing or whatnot.
Healing power. Yeah, right.
So we also get to find out a little bit more about supposedly our main antagonist, Dr. Carl Mullis. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Drew. He is a character from the comics, but not necessarily Jessica Jones comics.
I don't know.
I think I could be wrong that he is one of the doctors responsible for creating the original Spider-Woman.
Okay.
Jessica Drew.
Okay.
So yeah, I think so. I'll have to research.
Spider-Woman's
that a little
origins are very complicated, so maybe we should table that for a moment. Cause
Yeah.
I'm not opening that door. She has like 4 origins.
bit. But Jessica tracks down Mullis's financial backer,
Yes.
and it turns out to be Benny.
That was Benny from
That was
Total
Benny.
Recall?
Yeah.
Oh man, he's got kids to feed.
He's got 5 mouths to feed.
Well, in this show, it's just one.
It's just one, yes. Yeah, that was one of the first time I watched the show. I was like, I know that guy from something.
That's a hell of a pickup on your part, man.
He was in something. So I jumped on the IMDb, and sure enough, that's his picture.
Wow.
Holding up the old
Yeah, the mutant
arm.
arm.
The mutant arm. Benny.
Wow. Good pull.
Yeah. So we find out that the doctor is not necessarily Dr. Evil.
Well, no. I mean, he was being paid by Benny
By Benny.
to come up with a cure for various diseases and
Yeah.
deformities and whatnot, and he ended up curing Benny's son, one of 5, from some cranial deformation or whatever at birth. And,
Yeah.
Okay. So, yay, maybe Doctor isn't such a bad guy, but at the same time, human experimentation and
Yeah,
and,
that- That never ends well.
no. But Jess gets she tracks him down though. First she tracks down Benny on the golf course.
Yeah.
And then from there she tracks down Benny's son on the street, and then she finds out where Doc lives. And that's where things get a little I was kind of like, "Oh, okay. We're doing this." So she goes to the house. She goes in the basement or whatever. There's a little vault down there. And, yeah. It's crazy Aunt Jackie.
Crazy not Aunt Jack.
Not Aunt Jackie. She's mom.
Yeah.
Jess's mom, allegedly. Credits. Okay,
Yep.
so that's what we're doing, huh?
They do it well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You know, I mean, it's an interesting angle. I'm weary of those kinds of revelations in shows. I don't know why. I just kind of am. But all right, show me the Carfax. Let's
show me the Carfax.
Let's see where this goes.
Where's this thing been? How much mileage does it have on it? That's
all right. Yeah, let's show your work, sir.
Show your works.
I got
no
you.
Calculators.
Bring on the next episode.
So yeah. All right. So aside from like that twist, good episode.
Yes, it is. A lot of people were not down with this show, but I mean, I'm watching it. It's fine. Like, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
I'm again, the character arcs are pretty. I don't want to say obvious, but I mean they're
defined.
There are clear, defined arcs happening
Yep.
here. There's enough to sink my teeth into. I've got characters evolving and changing as the show's going on, and you know, I don't feel like we're wasting a lot of time yet. In the first season, there were several episodes midway through where it was like, okay, we're just wasting time now. And obviously, you know, we say the same thing about, you know, your Luke Cages and your Iron Fist for sure, that some of these could be, you know, trimmed down a bit.
Yeah.
6 episodes now into 5 or 6.
6. This was episode 6.
I don't feel like we've wasted a lot of time because now we're kind of in the middle and we are chugging along. So could there be a stall coming? Sure, there's plenty to go.
We'll get to the stall.
Okay, there's going to be a stall. Well, you know.
But as far as stalls go, it's like it's unnecessary, but it's not bad.
Okay. Well,
like this is interesting stuff to find out about Character X.
Okay. Well, when we get there,
it's not necessarily needed to push the main plot forward, but it's
character work. I'm okay with character work. Well, let's see how that goes when we get there. But I mean, that's part of a bigger discussion that we've talked about before with these shows, that maybe less would be more. But that's not the way people consume anymore, Carl. People binge watch now, and more is more. So here's more. Like,
10 episodes is easier to binge watch than 13. So I don't
get it either. But you know why? Because there's probably they probably have it figured out that it looks good to investors or something, that they can show data that people watch this much.
Yeah.
That they are committed to this much time, and you know, they sit down, press play, and watch for X hours. So the show's 13 episodes probably tests better on paper than 10. I don't know. That's my guess. Even though here we are just going like, I don't need 13.
Yeah, I mean, I really wish they'd just take the approach of tell your story.
Yeah.
Do you need 6 episodes to tell your story? There's your season, 6 episodes.
Right.
Do you need 10 episodes? Do you need 13? Do you need 23?
Right.
Like what? Just tell your story.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that we need everything to be a certain number of episodes just because it has to be.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Don't be such a slave to the format.
Right.
Like us. Take it. We've changed.
We divert a lot.
Yes. All right, that about does it for this week's episode of Devil Do, folks. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it as always. And as always, if you would like to find us in the multimedia-verse, you can do so at the following locations. You can follow us on Twitter at Devils Do Pod. You can go to facebook.com/DevilsDoPod. Give our page a like. You can email us at thedevilsdopod@gmail.com, or you can find all these resources available to you on our website, thedevilsdopodcast.com. Drew, that being said, do you have any closing statements?
When does Fire Pro come out?
Next week, either this Friday or next Tuesday.
I'm nodding right now, Carl. I'm nodding. Let's do this.
I still got Octopath to finish.
Oh God, I forgot all about Octopath.
I think Fire Pro may fall by the wayside a little bit for me because I've got Octopath to finish, and unless I get to crank on that in the foreseeable future, Octopath's gonna lead me right into Spider-Man on PS4.
Ah, yes. All right.
Alrighty.
With your favorite costume ever.
it's so bad. It's so bad.
It's a good place to end.
I'm just gonna download the Infinity War costume because it's less bad.
It's less bad.
It's much less bad. All right, folks. Thanks again for joining us. We appreciate it. Have a good week. Court is adjourned.